Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is going to be my retrospective look at the top 10 Copper Age comics of all time. And this list has really shaken up. I'm actually surprised by the numbers. Most of my lists have really performed well, but this list has really underperformed. I'm actually surprised how much the prices have dropped. But that's not all the case, but a lot of these books haven't performed as well as you might expect. And I'll get into it right now with the number 10 on the list, which is Wolverine number 1, the first ongoing comic series. So this is like his ongoing series. And it's also the first appearance of Wolverine as Patch. So very famous cover. It's one that collectors highly seek, but it's not one that has really done well in terms of its value. So what am I talking about there? So it had a record sale for a CGC 10.0. So these more modern comics have the higher grades. I just did videos for golden, silver, and bronze, and a 10.0 is considered super rare. Well, in these modern ones, you'll see a lot more 10.0s in the market. So this has one 10.0 on the census, and now they're saying that the fair market value for this would be around $2,700. Now that is dramatically down from its record sale of $17,644. So really dropped. This one just completely tanked. So this one really didn't hold its value. The universal grades there's 11,000 on the census for this. There's 13 9.9s, and even those, the value has really dropped. But if we look at the 9.8s, we can maybe see some of that pattern where it's sort of, you see this huge spike and boom, the market just drops. Like it went from $1,300 to $54. Just insane drop on this book. So, it's one of those things where, books can really drop in value. So this one has not performed very well. But it is number 10 on our list. There's probably other comics from the Bronze Age, or Copper Age, I should say, that should maybe be on this list now. But I'm really looking at the ones that were on the previous top 10 lists, so bear that in mind. If you're going to put in the comments that, oh, why didn't you have this other book that really did well? Well, the reason is I want to look at how my previous top 10 list did from January to now. So this was higher up on the list. It was actually number 4 on the list in my January video. Now this is a year later almost, and it is now 10th on the list. Okay, number 9 on the list is another Wolverine comic. It's Wolverine number 1, and this was the first solo series book. And it's from 1982, just barely into the Copper Age, and it had actually a record sale of $14,000, and there was another sale that was around $15,535 in a 10.0. Now there's 3 10.0s on the census, and you can see that record sale back in 2009. Now if you think about all the comics, how much they've gone up in recent years, it is amazing that this one, they're actually saying the fair market value is way less than that original massive sale. So there's been a real pullback on this book, and you can maybe see that in the 9.8s. So originally 9.8s were selling for as high as almost $4,000, and now the most recent sale is for $2,700. And it just shows sort of a downward trend. If we look at the 9.8s, we can maybe see that a little bit more in detail. So you see, like, there was a huge jump in the value in July. There was a record sale of 2,600, and now you see, like, soon afterwards it just dropped. Like, you get $200, $600 ranges. So the fair market value for these books have really dropped. I was kind of predicting that in one of my earlier videos, that the market would kind of cool down, especially in these more modern books. They don't hold their value as well as the silver, gold, and maybe bronze age comics do. Just huge swings in pricing. People really overpaid on this comic, and you're seeing that in these prices. So this one is number 9 on the list. Still a great book, but definitely has dropped down in price. And maybe another reason for the drop of this book has been that Wolverine is dead in the MCU. And, that's, old man Logan, he died. And that's maybe part of the reason why they pulled back on this one a bit. But, yeah, it's really dropped. So the next on our list is Vampirella number 113. Now this was kind of have a personal connection to this book because I collect Warren magazines, and Warren magazines ran from 1 to 112. And then Harris brought back, they bought the publishing rights to Warren Publishing, and they tried to bring back the magazine. And they produced this one, Vampirella 113, as the first, new series for for Vampirella. And they decided not to stick with the magazine format, so it's just a one-shot, and then they later went into comics. So this one is a very rare book. It's just really hard to find. It was one that I actually had to search several years to get my copy of it. Just a really rare book. And because of that, it has really, there's very few on the census. There's 176 on the census in a universal grade. There's only 2 9/8. So just a really rare book. And the most recent sale was in 2005. Now, Vampirella is one of those characters that was actually highly underrated for a long time, and is really just sort of recently kind of seen some price gains in her key books. So this book, I'm using the fair market value of $4,000 for this. I really think that's a fair number. It could be higher than that, but it's really hard to say without having any recent sales. And there hasn't been recent sales of any of the grades. So you can see that. No recent sales. The most recent sale was actually, there was one sale for 9/6 at $1,320. Now that is down, as all these books have been down actually. But you can see that this book is just one of those rarer books, and it is number 8 on our list. So it's an interesting book. Okay, number 7 on our list is Amazing Spider-Man 252. And this is the first appearance of the black suit in the regular series. It was previously... so the Vampirella, by the way, was previously number 10 on our list. And now it's number 7. Oh, 7. Oh, actually, I missed a book. One sec here. Actually, let me just go back. I actually missed a book. That was the Vampirella. Sorry. This is a little bit of a mess, but I'll correct it. Actually, number 8 on the list was New Mutants 98. And I should have mentioned this earlier, and I'll go back to the Amazing Spider-Man number 252 in a minute. But I just want to quickly address that I messed up in the order. And this was previously number 7 on my list, and that's why I had it in the wrong order. But it's actually number 8 on the list now. This book has really dropped as well. It's the first appearance of Copycat, first appearance of, she was appearing as Domino, but really wasn't Domino. And the first appearance of the major character, Deadpool. So this book has really cooled off in recently. I'm not sure why. It has had a record sale of as high as 11,700 back in 2017. Now, if you look at the 9/8, you can see the pullback that I was referring to, where it just sort of shot up. It went up to $5,000, and then there was just a bunch of sales for $600-700. It's really, really pulled back in terms of the value of this book. So people are picking this book up pretty cheaply. So the fair market value for 9/9 is $3,600. Well down from that original like $11,000 sale. So just the really big drop in this book. And that's why it appears number 8 on our list. Now back to Amazing Spider-Man number 252. So this book, again, hasn't really performed that well. It was previously number 9 on my list, but it is now number 6. So it has gone up in terms of the list, but it hasn't gone up in terms of the value. So if you look, there was a record sale for $6,000 for 9/9. Now they're figuring that fair market value for this book is around $4,100. It has really, really dropped. And if you look at the 9/8, you can kind of see the same kind of pattern that I was showing you with the other books, where there's this huge spike in the pricing and then prices just drop. Like somebody picked it up for $189. Just really dropped in value. But probably the fair market value is around that $1,900 range, but the year average has been like $1,700. So just really, really pulled back in terms of the value for this book. This hasn't held its own in terms of the value. I think a lot of what we're seeing is price corrections from those highs that we saw in the early part of this year around April. Just massive. The prices were just going through the roof in March, April. You can see that. And they just have pulled back since because, there's a bit of a market correction. And I kind of predicted this would happen. So basically, I'm proving my prediction is being pretty accurate. So, it happens. Like, books get really, really hot. They kind of go over what they should be selling for, and then there's a pullback. And that's what we're seeing with this book. But still, it is in the top 10. It is number 6 on our list, previously number 9, so it has moved up. Now we're getting into another major Spider-Man key. It's Amazing Spider-Man 300, which is the first full appearance of Venom. And it is also associated with Todd McFarlane's 25th anniversary issue. So it's just got like so many, it's just one of those covers that's really iconic. It's been cover swiped so many times. It actually had a pretty huge sale for a 9/9 at $12,000 when I did my first video, and now they're thinking that the fair market value for this book is around $16,000. So this is the first book that has actually gone up on the list, where like we've seen actually the pricing going up. There's 10 in the 99 cents on the census. And there's 22,000 of these on the census. So a very, very common book. Just one of those books that has gone up compared to some of the others that we've seen on the list. If we look at the 9/8s, we can see that it has followed the same trend where it really had a huge spike in price, but it just hasn't fallen back down as much as some of the other books have. Where you get the fair market value being around $7,700 in that 9/8. And that is up from when I originally recorded back in January. I recorded it like around there. So it's gone up since I did my video, but it is pulling back. You can see that the price is around 5,000, 6,000 range. So it is pulling back, but it hasn't completely fallen back all the way. So it has seen some nice growth. This is number 5 on our list, Amazing Spider-Man, number 300. Okay, next on our list is another of these black suit ones. This is the origin of the alien symbiote, and which later becomes Venom, and it's Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 8. A very classic cover, very highly sought after book. There's 16,000 of these on the census, and this one again has really, it's kind of weird how I think these numbers are messed up. There's something weird with Go Collect. These are not accurate for the most part because there is a 1-year average for this book of $16,000 in a 9.8. And there are 4 10-Os, I should say, on the cover, on the census. And I have a feeling that those would be much, much higher in value than 825. I don't know why it says 825, but it does. And this was previously number 2 on my list. It has slipped in terms of my top 10 list. It actually had a record sale for a 10-O of $32,250. So it was a pretty pricey book. And I bet you that if there was another sale, it would be in that $30,000 to $40,000 range for a 10-O, if ever it would come up again on an auction. But right now, we're looking at, a record sale in September for 9.9 of $16,800. So this book definitely is still strong. We can look at how it's performing in the 9.8s. I'll just quickly go there. And you can see, again, you see this huge spike in price, and it's really pulled back. It's dropped back down to being like a $400 to $500 book. And now it's saying the fair market value is around $800, but there's copies to be had in that maybe $700 range would be probably a fair price that you could get it for. So definitely one that has pulled back a lot. A lot of these books were really, really highly priced and have pulled back. It's only the thing with modern comics, more as you get closer to the modern age, is there's just so many on the census. Like even 4 10-Os. I mean, that's just really common. They're very price sensitive because people can just flood the market with them. And, there's 16,000 copies out there, so they can easily flood the market, and it can really drive the price down. When you have those massive sales, it just encourages a whole bunch of people to try to get their book to sell for the same amount, and it can just kill the price. So that's part of the volatility of these more modern comics, where they just can really drop. It's one of the sad things about it. But one of the things that can beat that is if the comic is rare. And there are some rare Copper Age comics. And one of them is Albedo number 2. This is such a rare comic. There's only 212 of these on the census. Just a super rare book. And with this book really heating up because of the Usagi Ojimbo TV series that's going to be coming out, and this being his first appearance, this is a very hot book, very, very hard to find book, and it had a recent sale of $19,800 in a 9.8. Now this one doesn't have any 9.9s or 10s, so it is a really rare book. When I did my original list, it was much lower on the list. It was it was number 4 on my list previously. Now it's number 3. So I kind of switched with Marvel superheroes. So it's kind of, I would say, if it's sold in a, it would be one of those ones where its fair market value in a 9.8 is much higher than that of the Marvel superheroes 8, Secret Wars 8. So that's why I put it higher up on the list. But I would say the fair market value in a 9.8 is around this 19,800 range, maybe even slightly higher if another one comes up for auction this year. So I could see this one even being worth more than what is currently listed at. Okay, number 2 on the list is another rare book. We're getting into all the rare books, and that's really what is the only thing that keeps these top 3 on the list and having performed better than many of the others that were on this list. So this is Gobbledygook number 1, which kind of has a preview for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in an ad at the back. So it's one of those like first appearances of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a book that you actually have to be really, really careful if you buy, because there are forgeries out there. There's fake ones where people basically print it and try to pass it off as an original. But so it's really, it is a really rare comic. There's only 4 of these on the census in a universal grade. 11 signed copies, so there are some signed copies out there. Now this one just had a massive sale recently of $71,300 and $390. Just a massive sale for a 9.0. There are no comics graded higher than a 9.0 except for the 9.2. There is a 9.2 on the census, and that was a signature. And I'll actually show you the sale of that. If they have it, they don't have the sale of it. But there was one that sold in a 7.0 of $12,000. Now, I'm not sure how much that 9.2 would sell for, but you can only imagine it would be pretty expensive because it's a signed copy in a 9.2. Probably you're looking at over $100,000 for that book. It's a really rare, highly sought after book. Only total on the census of 15 copies. Very, very rare book. Now this book is number 2 on our list. It has when I did my original video, it had only a record sale of $6,000. It has really shot up in value. So this one is definitely hot, definitely a hot book, and is fortunately balancing out the sort of negative trend that was on this list where a lot of the books kind of dropped in value. But this one definitely held its value and definitely is a book that is highly sought after by collectors. Now, number 1 on the list is the other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle book. Another rare book is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1. And this is the first appearance of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, first appearance of Splinter and their origin. And also the Foot Clan, which is Shredder's, I should say, Shredder's little army, and first appearance of Shredder as well. So just a major book for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It is kind of their mega grail book. Now this book, it actually had a record sale for $90,000, and it actually has 31 9/8 on the census. So this is more common than like Gobbledygook or Albedo number 2, but it is highly sought after, much more than those other 2 books. So this one is definitely one that has gone up and held value. Now they predict a fair market value for 9.8 in this. There hasn't been any recent sales to confirm this, but the fair market value would be around $145,000. And we look at the 9.6 sales, and you can see it's just trending up. The most recent sale was for $78,000. There has been another sale around $66,000, but you can say that the fair market value for 9.6 is around $72,000. Just a really, really major book, and you can see why it's at the top of the list. So this has been my top 10 Copper Age books list, and just a kind of interesting that we're seeing this pullback in pricing, and it's kind of sad to see some of these big books really lose value. I think a lot of the reasons why they were on the list in the first place, when I did my list in January, was they were record sales. A lot of it was based on record sales that people may have way overpaid for these books. And we saw that actually even this year in general, where March, April, people were way overpaying for books. And there was sort of a destined to be a correction in the market. And, this list really shows you how even these blue chip books can even go back down in value. So you got to be really careful when you get into comics that you know what you're getting into. The market can really shift, and very, very quickly. So it's always best to really do your research before you buy any of these big books. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you check out my other videos that I've done on the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and I'm going to be doing one more video on the Modern Age and see how well those books performed in this last year. So I hope you stay tuned for that, and thanks again for watching. Bye for now.